Bastards. This is Some-Belgian-prepper, and today I'm going to talk about something that, yeah, parts of it preppers talk about, but it's something very useful that I've discovered. Yeah, discovered is a big word, but it's about charcoal. With times that are changing because of climate change, and yeah, it's harder to get something done like a wood stove and other things that are working on burning fuels. So yeah, in my opinion, it's you can have all those Green Deal kind of implements, but always have an alternative. Always have out some sort of wood stove. Why? Not only for heat and cooking, but to make charcoal. Why charcoal? It's actually very underestimated. If you truly want to live off grid, I would suggest to have some sort of wood stove that you can create charcoal to foresee yourself into all these kind of things that I'm going to call now that can be made from charcoal. Charcoal. There are two things I'm going to talk about. There are actually two groups, and the first group is just charcoal, what you have left over after burning wood, especially hardwood. And the second thing is going to be activated charcoal, which is another group on its own, but it's from the same materials. But that's something I'm going to mention in the second group. The first group is just plain old charcoal. I written it down so I don't forget anything because I have a small brain. Yeah, charcoal. What can you do with charcoal? Well, the yeah, it's not in a good order, so I'm just going off the list that I made. Of course, charcoal can be used as a blacksmith fuel. So if you're going to want to live off grid and you want to make your own tools, you'll probably need charcoal. And charcoal you can make by putting hardwood inside of a metal container and burn the metal container so it gets short from the inside. You can use a steel drum, a metal drum, or a metal box like a ammo box from the army. Put some wood in it, put it on a fire, and then after a while of burning, you will have charcoal inside of the metal box or drum. So that way you can create more charcoal to create fuel, so the heat to create tools out of it. I did in the beginning when I started to live here. I tried it to get a little blacksmith project going on. It had very small. It has a very small success. If I would practice more, I could make some very simple tools or nails or something. But I will need a lot of more fuel, and that was not really something I can do without jeopardizing other projects. So that's something you can do if you have the means and the wood to do that. The next thing is a foot alarm. Yeah, it's probably not many people think about it, but if you have a certain parameter, whether it's during a bug out or during a bug in, and you think that people are stealing from you, and you want to know where they come from, or if somebody has been there, you can take some charcoal, powder it up, and how do you say this? Spread it around exits, entrances, or alongside fences. So what can this do? First of all, if you it's hard for a burglar to remove the footprints out of the charcoal that is spread around. So you will probably have a footprint, or at least have a notice of where the burglar comes in to steal your stuff. The second thing is, if you smear charcoal over an object that you know that a burglar would, but how do you say this? Would grab, like a door handle or above a wall where they would climb over. That's just a way that if you if you think the burglar is still around, it's an easy way to recognize them. It's the guy who probably will have some dirt on his hands, charcoal, and that way you have some evidence that he was the burglar. I don't say this is of an effective way, but it's just a way in a shit hit the fan situation, or another way to identify where the burglar has been or who is a burglar. The next thing is, not many people will think about this, but toothpaste. Not really in the conventional sentence, but I sometimes use charcoal to put on my teeth. I rub it softly in because it will on a very small scale scrape. So if you have teeth that have cracks in them, I would not advise to do this. But I notice um when I brush my teeth and put some charcoal on it and rub it on it, my teeth are much cleaner and they get a little bit more white. How is this? Because the carbon is getting into the teeth and it fills up how do you say this, the holes, the micro holes inside of the teeth, and it will make it smoother and it will pull out some bad things. So yeah, might sound weird, but it actually works in my personal experience. So next thing is make soap. If you burn hardwood, if you use the ash of hardwood that you burn from charcoal or just wood, you can mix it with animal fat, and that way you can make soap. I would advise to look it up how to make soap. I probably will do it someday, how to make soap, but from the ash and the charcoal, if you grind it up and you mix it with animal fat and follow a certain process, you can make your own soap at home. So that's also a very good thing to do if you're going to live off grid with charcoal. Another thing is make gunpowder. Uh, yeah, if you when there is shit hit the fan and you have a tube, you have a pellet or a bullet, you can make your own gunpowder if you have charcoal, saltpeter, I think, and is it ammonia? Yeah, I don't remember the composites anymore, but charcoal is one of those things that you can make gunpowder with. Another thing is, and it also might sound strange, an energy drink that gladiators use to drink for their training. It's a mixture of milk and not really charcoal, but the ash from it. So you can grind charcoal, mix it with milk, and that should be something be good for the bones. I'm not sure about this, but it would have some benefits. Of gladiators, and especially a lot of gladiators would have done this. So I would say to do a little bit more research onto this, because I only find the good sides of this energy drink. But if somebody can in the comments let me to some other sources where they talk about the bad sides or more scientific research, I would really appreciate it. I'm just here to tell you that it was being used by that historians say. Another thing is just for cooking and barbecue. So if you burn wood and you have leftover charcoal, you can reuse it later to make a barbecue fire, or just as a way to cook something onto your wooden stove as an addition. Another thing you can probably do is heat up. If you got a stove inside of your house, you can use charcoal to heat it up. Of course, that sounds obvious. So that's another benefit of charcoal. Another thing is camouflage. Yeah, you probably saw my video about airsoft, and you saw that I wore black on my face for the camouflage. Well, that's the same thing that military during World War II and almost every war used. They used the charcoal from their campfires and rub it on their face so their face was blackened, so they would be less visible in the night and during the day between in the forests. So that's another use of charcoal, especially during a bug out. So if you're on a bug out, always take a piece of charcoal with you so you can grind a little bit up and rub it on your face for more camouflage if you fear you will be detected or you have to be stealthy. Alright, another thing is improvised makeup. After shit in the fan, your significant other will probably want to look a little bit beautiful, want to make herself up probably. Perhaps there is something special going on, and makeup is not available or too expensive. yeah, just a piece of charcoal, and you can use it as eyeliner or some other things that you need black for. It's already been used in those pencils that girls use for their eyeliner. So it's just the same thing except it's just a piece from your campfire. So yeah, it can also be used as makeup, like I said. Another thing, fertilizer. If you ground up your the ash and the charcoal, grind a little bit up, and you spread it into a good balance with your compost or with in the ground, that can have some beneficial factors to your gardening as a fertilizer. I would say to look it up, the exactly how much you can use or what type of woods you should not use, or that information. It's just a possibility that you can do. All right. Like I said, fuel, fire, yet again. Sun protection. If you're on a bug out or just during a hot day where there is a lot of sun and you want to protect your eyes, you can use take a piece of charcoal and rub it under your eyes, so there is less reflection if the sun is coming onto your face, and it will not reflect from here into your eyes, and that is a little bit more protection that you can use. It's especially more effective if you have something like a piece of leather or some piece that will cover your face with two slits to look narrow slits to look through, and then you rub charcoal around your eyes. That will darken it up and will act like an improvised sunglass. So yeah, it's just like Batman in a way with his mask that he used something to darken his eyes even more. So that's the same way that it's been used. Another thing is as a writing and drawing tool. If you have if you're going to, how do you say this, in a shitty defense situation, and you want to live off grid, and you want to have a way to just to write something or or make a drawing for just relaxation or something else, you can use a piece of charcoal and draw with it, and you can even make shades with it. So for you can I personally find it better to draw with those, and you can take harder pieces for finer drawings and writing. So that's another thing you can do for a long-term use with a charcoal. That is all what I said was now about charcoal. Now I'm going to talk about the second part, which is activated charcoal. Yeah, I need to read it because it's a long list. So first of all, charcoal, activated charcoal. What is it? Well, it's how do you say this? A purified form of charcoal. So how do you make it? First of all, you take some hardwood and you burn it till it's blackened, and then whatever you will ground it up with how do you say this, a pelt, no, it's some sort of grinder. How do you say this? A mortar. Yes, with a mortar you grind it up till it's a fine powder, and then you can mix it with one of the next things that I'm going to name. The first thing you can do is mix the blackened powder, fine powder by the way, with calcium chloride solution, and then after you have done that, you bake it till it's dry out, and then you have activated charcoal. Why is this process needed? It's needed because this purified charcoal, activated charcoal, will have more absorption that will be useful for the next things that I'm going to name. So remember, it's for to make it more absorption. The next thing you can do to make charcoal is yet again burn hardwood, grind it up, and you can otherwise treat it with lemon juice, or you can treat it with bleach. Those things should be some improvised homemade charcoal, activated charcoal. I have not tried this yet, but these are the recipes that I have found it, and they seem many people seem to say it, so it should be true. But I always advise to not only take it on my word and try to do it on your own. I should have done this before the video, but I do not have much time with all my projects at the moment. Another thing you can and do to make activate charcoal is, like I said, yet again, burn hardwood, grind it up, burn it till it's black, grind it up, till you have fine powder, and then you mix it with bentonite clay, turmeric, apple cider vinegar, and honey. And that way you also should have activated charcoal. All right. So you have your activated charcoal made. What can you do with it? Well, there are several things you can do it. The main thing it needs to do is absorption. So make sure that if you make activated charcoal, that it really is activated charcoal. What you also can do is you can also just go to a store and buy in bulk activated charcoal. They are usually being sold for kind of cheap in these kind of boxes that they are being used for water filtration systems at home or for swimming pools and then so and so on. So yeah, you can, if you cannot make it yourself, I would advise to get it into your pantry or stockpile in this kind of boxes, and you will be good for several for a very long time. So don't worry if you cannot make it yourself. So you have your activated charcoal. What can you do with it? Well, I'm going to go make the list. What you can do is, during World War II, I read about it in a biography about a French soldier who was taken prisoner during World War II, was sent to a prisoner camp, and he talked about that the German doctors, if a French prisoner would have some stomach ache or stomach bugs, which could happen a lot because, yeah, it's a prisoner of war camp. There could be dysentery and other sickness just going wild. And what the doctors would usually prescribe, because they did not have the medicine available to help all these prisoners, they use coal, activated coal, charcoal actually, and that's they use this for stomach bugs. It's not a cure, but it will help relieve the symptoms in a way. So in a way, it can help against stomach bugs, diarrhea, which was rampant in those prisoners camps. Yeah, so that's a good thing already about that seem to be working. Otherwise, they would not do it for this a long time. Even after World War II, they did this, and in some other cases where there were not that when where there was no professional medical help available, they used activated charcoal for that. Another thing is against how do you say this, poisoning. If you have somebody who has taken some poisoning, I would they have these how do you say it, activated charcoal pills or capsules, or you can just let them drink a little bit, something like this, and that way whatever is going inside, whatever poisoning is inside of your stomach, it the activated charcoal in your stomach will absorb it, will fill it up, and it will not hold it back, but it will slow down the amount of poisoning and the amount of time it will go into your inner system. So in a way, it's more of a way to slow down the process till so it's a little bit less more survivable, or it will give you more time to go to the hospital. We're talking about people who would have taken the wrong drugs, or children who have taken too much, who have taken drink something that was poisonous, like chemicals from cleaning products and such. That way it will not get into the system too fast. I'm not a medical I'm not the best medical expert, so I would advise to look at more up information about it. But it's something that has been used in the past and in survival situations to save somebody. Uh, the same thing with alcohol poisoning. Although I think alcohol is less potent for activated charcoal to be absorbed by it, so that's something you need to research a little bit more. But it's possible to that it will help in in an emergency situation. Another thing you can do is for skin infections. If you have bandage and you rub it into activated charcoal and you put it onto a place on the skin where there has been an infection, or like insect bites, stings from insect bites, even there has been some scientific research about that. Even poisoning from snakes can be treated can be a little bit helped with it. Even plant poisoning like poison oak and ivy, if you rub it against it, you take your bandage, rub it into activated charcoal, put it on the place of irritation, and yet again, whatever is even beneath the skin, it will be absorbed a little bit through the skin. So the poisoning of the insects, the snakes, and the plants irritations poisoning, so it will absorb it directly or a little bit under the skin. It will not cure it, but it can help relieve or minimize the effects of the poisoning. So yeah, that's another thing that not many people want to do, but it can help in an emergency situation or survival situation. Another thing is a gas mask. If you have if you want to make an improvised gas mask out of a plastic bottle, I would you can put some cloth in it, and between layers of cloth, you push in activated charcoal. That way, if you breathe in some chemical agents like tear gas, and in the worst cases, something like chlorine gas or mustard gas, the layers of charcoal between, I would advise to put multiple layers between each piece of cloth, so that you have multiple levels of protection. Put it into the improvised breathing tube, and that way it will absorb all the chemical, not all, but most of the chemical agent, and it will help you survive on an improvised way in a chemical attack, or even during a biological warfare attack or a pandemic. So that's something you can do, make an improvised gas mask with it. Gas masks are running on activated charcoal, so it's not, that is something that has been tested. Another thing is it can be used as a deodorant. If you have how do you say this? The reason why you smell under your armpits is because of bacteria, and if you put and if you are very, how do you say this, smelly because of that particular reason, you can rub activated charcoal under your arm. It will absorb the bad bacteria, and it will help relieve the smell a little bit. It's not fully working, but it can minimize the effects, is what I'm trying to say. And probably and another thing you can do with activated charcoal is mix it with the ground. If you're going to gardening and you're afraid that the ground that you want to gardening in has some too much pesticides, herbicides, or some other poisonings that you want to get out, so you can mix it with the ground, and it will absorb it a little bit more, and it will a little bit catch it inside of the activated charcoal, so the effect towards the plants that you're gardening are a little bit minimalized. It's not a full cure, like I said, but every bit can help. And of course, preppers who are probably how do you say this, a little bit more experienced, are pulling out their hairs because of the thing that I did not mention yet, or people already buggered off the video and will put it in the comments that I forget something without looking at the end of the videos, and that's of course an improvised water filter. You can improvise a water filter with activated charcoal by just putting some layers inside of a bottle. I would advise to put some cloth in it, activated charcoal, sand, activated charcoal. Then you can put some rocks and grass in it, and that way you have a system where you filter out the biggest parts, finer parts, a little first parts that will go to the activated charcoal that will take out some chemical parts or some bacterial parts. Will go through the sand, sifting a little bit like how do you say this, bronwater, water that has been underground, is what I'm trying to say, that went through the sand, and then again through the charcoal, and again through the water. In the beginning, this water will look a little bit black, but don't worry, it's not poisoning. But I would advise to let it run a little bit through, and then you will have not some black residue from the charcoal anymore, and it will be clear water from it, and it will be purified. So that's a way how to make an improvised water filter. I already tested this one, and it works, and I did not got sick. Yeah, you can also buy this. I forgot to mention it. You can not only buy this in these big boxes. But if you go into your local pharmacy, you can ask for capsules with activated charcoal. These are measured capsules for if somebody has a poisoning. You can put this into your first aid in your bug out bag, or at home in your medical cabinet. Yeah, I think I'm around. I know this was supposed to be a short video about something as simple as charcoal, but I stand my ground. It's important that we know all these, that we know that we can use all these things to our advantage when the times are getting bad, or we have to improvise. And yeah, knowledge is power. So do whatever what you want with it. Subscribe, I would really appreciate it. Share this video, leave a comment if you have another way, if you know another way, or some, how do you say this, some concept or a benefit from charcoal that I have not mentioned yet. I'm always eager to learn. And yeah, I would say thank you for watching, and see you in the next video. Cheers.